Morgan here and Jack Bennett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Contact between the Mercedes teammates.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Beresne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to PSGL Season 38, Round 7, and we are here at the British Grand Prix, the home of motorsport, and it is Silverstone. I am, of course, one of your commentators, Alex Heron, also known as Deathlink, and I am joined by the fantastical, the marvellous, the bearded one, known as Tom Knight, also at They Call Me TK. TK, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Looking forward to getting back on PSGL. Of course, both of us absent last week, unfortunately missing the excitement that can only be described as Monaco. But I can confirm we're back at probably one of the best racetracks in the world. Not that we're biased in any way, shape or form, but we're back at the British Grand Prix.
We certainly are. Now let's have a quick closer look at the British Grand Prix so we can head over to our new fancy track map. As you can see, here is the British Grand Prix, 3 sectors. It is 18 turns. It is slightly further away on my monitor, so I can't see it very well. But it is a fantastic, fast-flowing circuit. Of course, it has seen some fantastic racing, not only in real life, but of course, in the lovely world of PSGL. And we are actually already into qualifying, and we have a full grid here once again, TK.
We certainly do. Always fantastic to see a full grid. We've got 19 drivers out at the moment. Just Daniel deciding to stay in the pit lane at present, but I'm sure he will head out. There we go, I just mentioned that. He's heading out of the pit lane. All 20 drivers out on the track at one time. And of course, standard ghosting still on here this afternoon, so we will have that mandatory lobby reset. But let's get in to some qualifying runs.
Certainly so, and the first man to start his qualifying run will be Riccardo Benzoni in the Haas car as we come around the final corner and begin down the Hamilton Straight, of course renamed after Sir Lewis Hamilton, as we go through the first corner, and it's a fast-flowing section, is Sector 1.
Certainly is indeed. It's one that if you don't get absolutely right, it will disrupt the rest of your lap, because you've got so many twists and turns. You've got fast corners, slow corners. You've got a real mix of everything throughout that first sector, and it really sets you up well as you head into that second sector. Prepare for Maggots, Beckett's and Copps, and just getting ready for those few runs through the corners.
And this is certainly a tricky section because you have to run it out wide here on the exit, but there's a gravel trap on the left. But Riccardo Benzoni does a good job of avoiding that. Now down the old pit straight before heading into Copps corner. These are critical corners, as one commentator once said, as we now head into Maggots and Beckett. A fantastic piece of tarmac here in Formula One. Some of the best racing we have ever seen around any Grand Prix circuit before heading down, well, the famous Hangar Straight.
Yep, fantastic. Down towards the final few corners. Sector 3, of course, a little more slow speed compared to the rest of the circuit, especially you head in to Club and Vale, the final few corners of this circuit. They've got to get their braking point absolutely right. As you said, you can quite often end up going off into one of the big sausage curbs or off into the grass surrounding you.
Riccardo Benzoni will cross the line to set a 1:25.2, and that is the benchmark they will all be chasing. And so far, 3 crossed the line, 3 failed to beat him, including Seisman, Rishan Jacob, Liam Stevens, Sergio Sobrino. Nelson Alves can't do it either. The Williams have been on top form this year. Kian Gordendorp can't beat him. And that's looked like a very competitive lap time from the house of Riccardo Benzoni.
As indeed, seems like the Veloce Academy drivers really found form here at Silverstone. Of course, it is only their first runs. It will take time for some of them to dial in their setups, get fully prepared and ready. And we have got 2 drivers still yet to set lap times. That'll be the other Haas driver of Harvey Cohen. He's across the line P16. And of course, we've got Daniel, who's set purple sector 2 according to the game. He always seems to take the alternate route, shall we say, in qualifying. He doesn't like to go out with the big boys. He will just sit behind. He'll be patient, he'll wait, and then his turn will come to him.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a little bit of a distraction coming out amongst the pack. So Daniel's across the line now. Does go 14th fastest there with a 125.7. But the grid is so competitively close. Everyone, apart from T.S. Korsman, in the 125s. And to be fair, T.S. Korsman isn't too far off there. The whole grid from 1st to 20th separated by 7 thousandths of a second. The top 19, 7 tenths of a second. Top 19, 5 tenths of a second. And then the top 6 is a tenth of a second. The top 3, less than a tenth.
Yeah, 95 hundredths of a second between Nelson Alves and Riccardo Benzoni as our drivers do peel back in towards the pit lane. It's a bit of a procession here at the moment as our drivers get ready for their second and third runs. Of course, with the lobby reset, they can afford to use as many tyres as they want to in this qualifying session. They effectively get handed back to them at the start of the Grand Prix. But I think a few of our drivers will look forward to the opportunity to burn a lot of rubber this afternoon.
Yeah, they certainly will. Now, of course, the British Grand Prix, or Silverstone, as I should say. Gregory appears... That was interesting. What happened? Okay. Might have been a little bit of a decent there, because Gregory looked like he turned around on the gravel trap and tried to get back on circuit. But anyway, moving on. As I was about to say, to follow up on TK's point, we do have a lobby reset, which means all drivers are probably running the softer set of tyres, which means they have 4 sets of softs to use. But Silverstone is such a long circuit, TK. Will they get those 4 runs in?
Well, that's the question. They've got to be almost precise to the minute. Because if you bear in mind, we have 18 minutes on our qualifying clock, but already down to under 12 minutes. They've burned up 6 minutes. I definitely don't think they're going to get 4 runs. I think they're almost certainly going to get 3 runs in. But even with that, they have to be quick at it. Their final run will come as that checkered flag starts to fly.
Yeah, they certainly will. And I mean, some people may already be going out for their second runs, and it looks like there will be with one of the McLarens and one of the Mercedes going out. We'll try and pay attention to who that is. I think it's Seisman and Luca Rapace.
Ben Marples and assume Angelo. No, it would be the other Mercedes of Luca Rapace.
I got one of them right. I was worried I was going to get both of them wrong, but it's all good. So Rapace is the next car out of the pit lane. Now, of course, we haven't actually looked at the standings. So TK, should we have a look at the quick standings while these drivers are going out for the round rounds?
Let's do that. Well, standings after Monaco, because round that both myself and you missed, is Angelo D'Attenzio that tops our standing sheet, 56 points to the Veloce Academy driver's name. Riccardo Benzoni, another Veloce Academy driver just behind himself. So it's a 1-2 for the VA team. The 2 Williams, 3 and 4. Of course, they initially held the top spots in the opening few rounds. I think they'll try and recover some of the points they've lost. The rest of the top 10, Leo Lund, Jan Seisman, Komsky, Ben Marples, Luca Rapace, and of course Daniel down in P10.
Certainly so. And I mean, it's a very close title race at the moment. Obviously, Riccardo Benzoni and Angelo very close together. Now, Angelo, we know what he can do, TK. We've seen him this season, and of course, the previous season in F3. We know how fast he is. But he struggled the early parts of the season, but he's really got back up there and is now leading the championship.
He is indeed. And it's one thing that we quite often see with Angelo. He's able to come back from that sort of poor start to a season. We saw it in F3 when we were doing that last time around, of course. He didn't necessarily have the best first race, but the second, third, fourth and fifth that he did in that tier before that early promotion was a really excelling performance.
It certainly was. And now someone else looking to excel themselves up the grid is Tope, who's currently in 16th place. As we mentioned, the Williams were high flyers at the start of this year, have fallen off in the last few races. Obviously, we didn't see Monaco, but guessing by those point standings, they didn't do fantastically there.
No, I don't think they did as well as they potentially would have been hoping to, but of course, you never know. It can come back to you in the later half of the season. Never say never to a comeback of dreams, because it's Formula One. You never know. It's one of those. It's one of the sports that miracles can and do happen.
Yep, we've seen it all before, and of course, Silverstone. A lot of drama tends to happen around this very fantastic circuit. Again, no British bias on our side, of course.
No, none
As
at all.
Not at all, not at all. As Top 8 will now go through Maggots and Beckett. It's such a fantastic flowing section, but I believe but Ben Marples is just ahead on his lap, and apparently he's got purple middle sector. TK.
Well, he did until Tope took it away from him. I think that's worth
Hmm.
just bearing in mind, because before I switched over to the Papaya McLaren, it was the Williams that stole that purple middle sector. So I think we're going to see some very good lap times. I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Marples does go top. I say that
what?
as he invalidates his run through Vale. So now it's all eyes on Tope. They come around the final corner, purple middle sector, and they don't improve.
Well, now that's an interesting thing, TK, because where has Ben Marples invalidated that? There's not really any corners you can cut there.
I think it must have been the right-hander. I think he tried to take it a little bit too aggressively. The first right-hander, of course, across the line, though. Riccardo Benzoni goes 0.03 of a second quicker than his previous best attempt. The Haas car, once again, separating himself from the grid. We saw similar in F3 qualifying just a couple of moments ago. And Riccardo Benzoni now top of the timing stands and looking to try and dominate here in the first few runs.
Well, it certainly isn't a British driver on pole, but it's an American team on pole so far, TK.
And that's basically... No, I'm not going to go there.
Oh, God. I was hoping for a joke along those lines, but I didn't say it. Sixon goes third fastest.
Yeah, Sixon Linter up to P3. So at the moment, starting second row of the grid alongside Nelson Alves, who hasn't yet come out the pit lane. Actually, I stand corrected. He did come out the pit lane, invalidate his lap. I think he's gone back in just to get himself prepped and ready for that final run. Seisman Nakomsky has gone quicker, though, by mere thousandths of a second between himself and Riccardo Benzoni. I think that's actually 12 thousandths of a second to separate the McLaren and the Haas car. So, well, now it is the British team on top.
It certainly is. I believe, I'm not going to get this wrong, Polish driver?
I would assume so. Don't take my word
I don't
for
want
it,
to
but I
assume,
assume so.
But I think so. Polish driver in a British team, currently on pole position. Maybe Riccardo Benzoni a little bit surprised by that pace, but I say that Seisman in qualifying has been almighty this season. It's just the race that seems to let him down on occasion.
Yeah, it hasn't been his run necessarily in race form, but who knows? Sometimes you're able to come back from even those deficits, be able to pull yourself back up the rankings. Jan across the line couldn't improve from P7, 12 thousandths of a second slower than his previous best. So what's happening here, Alex? Why are drivers going slower than their first attempt? Are they kind of showing their hand from the get-go now?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? As Jerry Van Bussel actually retires from the session
In the pit
on track.
Yeah, that's the pit entry board.
Has he crashed into the pit entry?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I was right.
He looks like he was on
track.
That's a very strange incident. We're not sure exactly what happened there. Yeah, so going back to your point, PK, I think what's happening is the track. So the track tends to improve a lot, but obviously around Silverstone, it's such a long circuit. It may be a bit where you need to put. Obviously, you're going to put laps together. So obviously, maybe you'll be faster in sector 1 and sector 2, but because of how long the circuit is, you're going to lose time in sector 3. You'll lose time over the whole lap. I suspect drivers are also running out of tyres by the time they get to the third sector, so they're using all their wear up, also possibly using all their ERS up as well.
But I've just, I'll wait for someone to come across the line. I think that was Leo Lund just starting their, well, I'm going to assume penultimate run at this point. I'm reading the drivers' chat at the moment, and Jerry Van Bussel, of course, just retiring. He said, "What in the heck? Let a man pause." So my assumption is he's either tried to go into the pits, gone to pause, and the AI has driven him back out the pits, and obviously collided with that pit wall. That's my assumption because I've seen that happen before.
Well, it is likely. This is why we don't condone AI racing in the future.
We don't, although there is actually no. We've seen what happens when AIs take to racetracks in Abu Dhabi. Didn't necessarily end well, did it?
Well, they made one lap and then they spun.
I think most of them didn't even make one lap, but that's why we rely on human drivers, albeit in sim racing at the moment. We're watching a few drivers get themselves lapped and ready. I think Ben Marple just getting himself on his outlap, of course, his last one being invalidated. I think he's going to be out for a little bit of vengeance. I say that. He's done an outlap, gone into the pits, and made me look like such a fool.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be wanting to get their last laps in now. Of course, we're coming up to the last sections of the qualifying session, only 4 minutes to go. These guys will only really get their 4 laps in, TK, as we suspected. Leo Lund is going to come into the pits, even though he was improving his lap. Has Nelson Alvarez just started one, or has he just finished one?
He's just finished one. He was up on his lap time through the first 2 sectors, and it was actually the final corner, the rear of the car, massively kicking out. And that's completely ruined his lap time. 8/10 lost. I think it was 800ths lost through the final corner alone. And that's really going to put a damper on things because he's now burning ERS. He's burning tyres as well. And he's in a really awkward position where he's got to get back in and out if he wants to set a fresh lap on fresh tyres.
He won't have the time. I don't think he's going to run out of time before he gets to the pits. If he gets back to the pits, what, with 2 minutes 30 left on the clock?
It's going to be incredibly close.
It's going to be very close indeed. And TK looking like a fool? Never. He's never looked like a fool in his life later.
No, it's physically impossible. No, it's not. I look like a fool probably more often than not, unfortunately, at the moment. Especially when it comes to trying to predict anything that a driver will end up doing on track.
Yes, well, speaking of predictions, TK, who's your prediction for pole position this afternoon?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think we've got quite a few drivers that are probably able to reach those top spots. If Nelson Alves can link a lap together, my bet would be on him. Otherwise, I'm going to assume Kian Gordendorp. He's on a flyer at the moment through the second sector. I think he might just steal it.
Well, we're going to find out. My prediction, if anyone's interested, is Sixten Linhart.
Oh, interesting. Driver down in P4, looking like he could be able to make a move.
Kian Gordendorp's the line, and he takes provisional pole with a 1:25.212. That's his last lap of qualifying. And he's laid down the gauntlet for everyone else to chase.
He certainly has. He's laid it down well and truly, and now everyone will try and chase him with just under 2.5 minutes left on our qualifying clock. Let us know who at home you're cheering for as well. See who you want to try and bring home to be the pole sitter this afternoon. I haven't seen anyone check in from the YouTube chat. I'm not sure if that's a my end issue or a YouTube chat issue, or maybe I've just broken something on that end as well.
There's a possibility. I mean, we have a little bit of tech issues before. TK had a Windows update just before we went live to give everyone the background panic before we went live, but it's all good. It got sorted.
We did, only just by absolute mere minutes, may I add onto that ad. I think I actually had to stop the Windows update at 97%, otherwise we weren't getting a stream this afternoon.
So Liam Stevens, I'm guessing he's not on a lap, TK, because he's 1.7, 1. Oh, well, no, he must have finished his last lap because he's gone full fastest. My apologies.
Yeah, that would be my assumption. So now we've got everybody running through. Nelson Alves still in the pit lane, but he's just coming out. I don't think he's going to make this.
He's not going to make the line with 1:30 on the clock.
Unless we see a miracle cut somewhere.
I don't even know where you cut it to be such a miracle. Well, Camille is on their last lap. They've just started the first sector, so should we ride on board with them?
Let's do that. Ferrari down to P9, and actually we'll be chasing down Nelson Alves here, so we could probably use that as a good benchmark.
And Kian Gordendorp has retired. Obviously, he can't go any faster because he has finished his last qualifying lap. So here is Camille down the back straight using that ERS. It's the first sector time. 45 thousandths down on their first sector. They're saving a lot of ERS, TK, but they're going to be using that for the back straight, I imagine.
Yeah, almost certainly. I just want to shout out as well. This is going through that section of corner, Luffield and Brooklands. Probably one of the best camera angles in this game. I'm not paid to say that, but it's probably one of the best camera angles in this game.
It certainly is. I mean, I'm very happy with the camera angles we get on occasion, and it seems we are getting good ones this afternoon. Now, Camille going through Maggot and Beckett, going to be using all of that ERS down the hang of straight. As 30 thousandths behind on their previous lap time, TK, they are not really improving. They're going to need a mighty final sector, and with 7 seconds on the clock, Nelson Alves will not make the line. 3, 2, and 1. Qualifying is done, and he was only a corner away from getting a lap on the board. But Camille comes around the final corner now. Can they improve from their P9 position? They improved to P7. 31 thousandths was enough to improve them to P7.
Certainly was. Top 8 retires down to P16. Cannot improve. Next across the line, Sergio Sabrino rounds the final corner. Can they go quicker? Yes, they can. P10 for themselves. Alpine will come up behind them. I'm going to assume that is... I'm trying to find them on the board. Who would that be?
It was Linhart, but he invalidated his lap, so he's only P5 at the moment.
McLaren next, Seisman couldn't improve. 67,000 slower. V-car behind. That is going to be Leo Lund around in the final corner. He's improving ever so slightly. P7 for himself.
So Riccardo Benzoni is still on lap. Luca Rapassa goes 6th fastest. The Kick Sauber cannot improve. Jan goes 5th fastest. Can Benzoni take pole? No, he cannot. He's only P3, and he set the pace early on in qualifying, but can't improve. The only man that can improve is the man currently in 19th, is Angelo De Santos. Can he improve? He improves to 11th, but only 11th, which means Kian Goldendorp, the man who did his lap first out of everyone, is on pole position.
Now, not to say I told you so, but I might have won the prediction this time around.
I thought you said Nelson Alves was going to get pole position if he could get a lap in.
Which he didn't, in my defence.
So
I've actually not got one prediction right. I've got 2 prediction rights.
Oh, no, there we go. YouTube chat is working.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gareth Allen TV.
Let's run through the complete qualifying orders. It's Keen Gordondorp, Theismann Lekomsky, Riccardo Benzoni, Liam Stevens, Jan, Sixten Lintott, Luca Rapassa, Nelson Alves, Leoland and Camille Sachara as your top 10. Angelo, Sergio, Richard, Daniel, Gregory, Titus Korsman, Ben Marples, top 8, Harvey Cohen, and Jerry Van Bussel after that earlier DNF will round out how your standings look, or your qualifying grid looks, going into today's race.
And it seems like we have quite the qualifying indeed, and we have quite the race coming up. But before we get into that race, TK, we should have a word from our sponsors.
We should. Who are they again? Been a while. We haven't been on this for 2.
We haven't been on. We might have forgotten. It's And we're back. Hopefully you all enjoyed the GT Omega ad there. I didn't get a chance to introduce it because something cut me off, but I'm sure it's okay. Who could have? It keeps happening as well. We should really get the tech team in to support that. But anyway, we're going to be getting underway with the main race in a little bit. We, of course, have the mandatory lobby restart. We do apologise, everyone, but unfortunately that is the rules. Can't do anything about it. So we'll just have to deal with it for the time being. The great thing is we get to shame the people that don't DNF instantly. So if they do a whole lap, we will be shaming them live on broadcast. But anyway, TK, an exciting grid to look forward to. And I mean, Keen Goldensdorp on pole position, Seisman in 2nd place, and then of course we've got Riccardo Benzoni in the top 3. That's the exciting top 3 for this Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic run through, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that top 3 pulls off the line, because that's the important thing. When they run down towards turn number 1, it's fast, it's flowing. I mean, all it takes is someone to try and take their line and someone not yield for a massive accident into turns 1 and 2. And of course, the rest of the grid probably will end up being affected by it.
Yeah, it certainly will be. And they've got to be careful on the circuit, because we have seen incidents aplenty at Silverstone over the years. And the last thing I want, TK, is anyone fearing for their lives on the racetrack. It's the last thing I want.
Yeah, very true.
I've heard too much about it today. You know, it's made me really upset at heart.
It has. Also, I'm going to shout out, Harvey Cohen is the only person not to retire yet. There was 10 of them that didn't retire. Harvey is still in the pit lane, and he's the only one not doing it yet.
DRS has been enabled just to prove everyone what's been happening. So, yeah.
Should we go and have a look at how our standings look, and then have a look at our calendar?
We certainly should, as Harvey Cohen is going down the pit straight. So here is your standings if you missed them earlier. It is Angelo Desencio, who is currently your championship leader on 56 points, from Riccardo Benzoni on 51, Tope on 44, and then Nelson Alves on 38. The rest of your top 10 is Leo Lund, Jan, Seisman, Ben Marples, Luca Rapassa, and Daniel is your top 10. So, still a close title fight at the top, still a long way to go after, well, going on to round 7. And of course, anything can happen in the world of Formula 1, TK. And as the great Murray Walker says, it usually does.
Usually does indeed. And of course, we're on round 7. We've got an exciting calendar looking for the rest of the season because there's quite a few people, well, there's not quite a few people, there's quite a few tracks that I am liking the look of. And of course, we started our season out in Australia. One I was very gutted to miss, actually. I love an Australian Grand Prix. But next week, we head to the Netherlands. Of course, a track that's going to not be on the calendar from 2027 onwards. And then we head to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia before heading for our festive break.
Certainly will be going for the festive break, of course. As you mentioned, TK Netherlands will be only on the calendar for 2 more seasons of real-life Formula 1. Probably a few more seasons for PSGL, but it's a shame to lose a track that I've actually really enjoyed racing on in the game. Maybe not as entertaining for real-life fans, but it always tends to give good PSGL action. But anyway, after the festive break, of course, we're heading to Japan, the famous Suzuka circuit. And then we're going to go to Las Vegas, everyone's favorite American circuit out of the 3 we have. And of course, then we have Bahrain, which is our final round of season 38. Before we head on to what I imagine will be our final season of F1 24.
I think it will be. F1 24 will have its fond goodbye because by then we'll be prepping for whatever F1 25 comes to bring us. I'm sure, hopefully, some new features, both good and bad features, heading into the new game. But hey, it always brings a bit of hype heading into the new season, and of course into 39 to finish us off. How can you believe it's been 39 seasons of 38 seasons of PSGL?
Yeah, 38 seasons of PSGL, mental, really, isn't it? And you know, we're gonna have. Well, does that mean, if my maths is correct, the 40th anniversary of PSGL will be on the brand new game?
It won't be the 40th anniversary, but it will be the 40th season of
yeah, the
PSGL.
40th anniversary will technically be the 41st season because of the way anniversaries work.
Also, I mean, anniversaries is years, so we haven't had 40 years of F1 game.
Yes, we have.
I hope we haven't, because that would make me very old.
When was the first F1 game released?
It's like 97?
It's
or 95, something like that.
So, but not 2000.
We've had 30 years of F1 games.
We're not far off, ladies and gentlemen.
Who knows? We might still be commentating come the 40th anniversary of the F1 games. But
so.
I was going to give you a fun fact as well whilst we go into our calendar. Because, of course, we head to Japan the round after our festive break. And I'll give you a fun fact for everyone watching along at home. The Christmas meal, the traditional Christmas meal in Japan, is KFC.
Is it?
Mm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what year that became a tradition.
No idea, but it's such a massive thing in Japan. They have buckets upon buckets of it on Christmas Day.
Very interesting indeed. There's a reason why you are commentators, not mathematicians. It seems. Are we wrong?
I was right, wasn't I?
Well, my excuse is I'm dyslexic, so I shouldn't have to worry about numbers. And TK's like some sort of lawyer, big shot, so he should know all about numbers.
I have a law degree. If you ask anyone, we're bad mathematicians.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably worse still, but that's not. We don't worry about that anymore because we don't need to worry about it anymore, TK. Because we're going into the Grand Prix.
We are.
I don't know why I did it in that voice.
No, me neither. Let's have one more look at the track map before we go in.
With our new two game plus track map. Sorry, wait, I did that wrong. 2 cam plus track map. Of course, this is Silverstone. It is 18 turns. Is it 18 turns?
Yes.
Right. Yes, it is 18 turns. It is a fast-flowing, fantastic circuit, and it is brilliant to watch, brilliant to commentate on, and hopefully for our drivers, brilliantly dry, because we know that British weather can sometimes cook up a treat.
Certainly can. We're just moments away from getting started. I promise you not. We'll go ahead and have a look in just a couple of moments' time. We'll head over to Alex's favourite ever scene that exists in all of F1 broadcasting.
Ooh.
Looking rather overcast.
I was going to say, it is 2 cam plus game, ladies and gentlemen. It's my favourite scene in all of broadcast for Formula 1. It makes TK angry because he named that once just to know what it was, and I've now used it against him every single stream we have commentated on. But I find it funny, and so should you. I'm just going to quickly check the drivers chat to see if there's any chance of rain. No one has said anything.
They'll all be sorting their
does
setups
look-
and strategies. They won't go for it quite yet.
Yes. Japan aren't a Christian country as a whole, so they don't have a Christmas in the same sense we do, hence the fast food options.
Ah.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Is that Penguin Victoria?
Victoria.
It's Penguin Victoria.
Yeah, sure.
That's what he said.
Okay. How did you get
you
the
not
name
read?
Penguin Victoria? I'm more curious about that now. Do you like penguins, or do you look like a penguin?
They like penguins, but they also are a big fan of the Victorian era. You collect penguins.
Ah, fair.
Well, we're going for lights out, and away we go as the 5 lights are on here at the British Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go. And Gian Gordendorp gets a good start, and he's in the lead, just holding it comfortably, with Seisman in second. Liam Stevens has got a jump on Riccardo Benzoni as they race down to the first major braking zone here at Silverstone, and they're all still facing the right direction. Down the inside goes Liam Stevens. He's trying to make that move on Seisman early on here, and he might make it stick, and he's up into second place already. What a start for the Alpine driver.
Yeah, what a start. He's now got a drag race down towards Loughborough and Brooklands. To the inside he goes off the Papaya McLaren. I think Jan thought about a move down the inside as well, but the Aston Martin will just have to wait their turn, as we have got a couple of moves being made in our opening few corners. Nelson Alves further back, getting past Leo Lund as well. Off that race start, down towards Copse Corner we go. Quite an infamous one, but you don't want to go too wide. Riccardo Benzoni thought about sticking a wheel up the inside of Nelson Alves there, but he's going to back out, wait his move, as Leo Lund now tries to squeeze between the two.
And Leo Lund makes the move past Riccardo Benzoni into Maggots Beck. Riccardo Benzoni has gone from 3rd to 7th in the opening corners. Tope is down to 20th. There's been an incident at the back of the grid, but up front it is cars battling for position. These soft tyres, TK, have lit up on this Silverstone circuit.
Yeah, indeed, it's a real mixed grid at the moment. Mediums and softs being used across the board. No one running the hard tyre quite yet. With the battle at the back of the pack, there's damage. There's a car around. Tiers Korsman goes spinning in club corner. I think it's Harvey Cohen and Ben Marple's having a good fight around the final corner as well. The Papaya is the inside line, but the drag's surely going to be better for Harvey Cohen down towards the first corner. The Haas has it. The Haas has it.
Haas has it indeed, but up front, Jan is making a move for 3rd place. He's battling around the outside of Seisman. These soft tyres are getting them so much grip. There's just a car's width of room, and Jan's made it stick the Aston Martin driver past the McLaren driver, and Seisman's now under pressure from Nelson Alves, who's also got a great launch, and he's got the grip to hold it around the outside of Seisman. The McLaren, who was on the front row, is going to fall down to, well, maybe 6th place, as they just hold it together on the exit of that corner, as now we go up towards Copse Corner. Leo Lund, don't make it 3 wide, lads. It's not going to work. He's going to make it work. He's got 2 cars into Copse. Incredible.
Beautiful stuff from Leo Lund there, allowing just enough space to try and pass through. But look at this, Liam Stevens pushing Keane Gordendorp through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, and the Alpine really on a feisty race start here, using the soft tyre to his utmost advantage as we run down towards the long sweeping right-hander. It's going to be one. Is Jan going to try and put a move down the inside as well? Yes, he is. The 2 soft runners now leading our Grand Prix. It's Alpine from Aston Martin, 2 TS drivers, and they will be absolutely loving life at the moment.
Seisman is battling Riccardo Benzoni. These medium tyres have just not turned on at the start of this Grand Prix. The softs are superior so far. We normally don't see the softs at a race start. We normally see the mediums and hard combination, but it has been the softs that have been on top, as Leo Lund is now looking in the RB on a move on the senior Red Bull team. Can they get past them? It's going to be a switch to the inside line. ERS being used, DRS going to be deployed. Can they get the run on the Red Bull? But for the race lead, it's Jan who takes Liam Stevens. Will Leo Lund drive down the inside? He goes for it, and he's made the move on Keane Gordendorp, and Gordendorp just gets pushed out of the way and says, I'm coming through now.
He was later on the brakes, he thought about a move there, and he's absolutely licked the stamp and sent it. Leo Lund using the soft tyre to his advantage as well, and he's up to the podium positions, but of course they will have the ultimate decision to now try and make. They'll have the harder battle in the second stage of this race. The medium runners will be trying harder. They'll have the softer rubber in the second stage. They'll have the lower fuel in the second stage as well, and that's what's really going to pay off for them in the latter stages. They've got to be patient now and run through the ranks in the opening stages.
Yeah, they certainly do, but Liam Stevens once again retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Nelson Albans is going to go down the inside of Kean Goldendorf, and he's up into the 4th place now. The top 4 all on the soft set of tyres here, TK.
Yep, they are indeed. We'll have a quick look at tyres, as he just said. Top 4 all running the softs. Gregory down in P12 using the softs, as is Tope and Ben Marples, and I think that is what they wouldn't have liked to see. They would have liked to start this race just a little bit better, pull through the field and join this front quartet at the front. They're all using the softer rubber.
They certainly are, and I'm surprised at how well those softs started off. We normally see the soft tyres do well at the start of a Grand Prix, TK, but they have demolished the mediums. Do we reckon the overcast weather here at Silverstone is really affecting the heat cycle of these medium tyres?
That is definitely a possibility. Who knows? We might see rain just a little bit later on. Overcast clouds here in Silverstone quite often will lead to rain in the latter stages of a weekend, let alone an afternoon. And I wonder if the soft runners maybe took that gamble, see if they can take them long enough until the rain comes. But who knows what's going to happen? We'll have to wait and see, because the clouds are getting increasingly more dense as we continue through the laps.
Yeah, they certainly are. They are definitely not lightening up, that's for sure. But the front 2 of Jan and Liam Stevens are pulling away from this pack right now. They are not being challenged right now. Leo Lund just holding on to that DRS, and that will keep them in the battle. But Liam Stevens is going to take Jan once again. Nelson Alves can't close in on Leo Lund due to the fact they both have DRS, and Riccardo Benzoni and Seidman now battling for position, but Riccardo Benzoni's lost 2 places there, and looks like Luca Rapace wants to go around the outside, but Seidman not giving up, not giving an inch in this fight, but they've cost themselves another place, and now Riccardo Benzoni might look for it down the Hamilton straight, but can't make it into turn 1, as Jerry Van Brussel becomes our 2nd retirement in this race, and is now 2 out, and both retired in the pit lane.
Well, it's a retirement in qualifying, a retirement in the race for Jerry Van Bossel. Not a weekend for the CPI driver to remember in his history books. I'm sure he will come back stronger on the next occasion. I wonder if there was maybe some, not foul play in the mix, but maybe some issues that were beyond his control. But again, we're not stewards. We're here just to talk you through the action. We're going to ride on board with Riccardo Benzoni, as he's still trying to challenge Simon Komsky through the twists and turns, heading down towards Kopp's corner. Will he try and stick and move it? But Nelson Alves, well, only a 10th back from Leo Lund.
Yeah, certainly so. They are really pushing on these soft tyres. Do they know something we don't with the weather coming down? Or are they just going for this really aggressive strategy, TK? Because I think the softs are definitely better than the mediums right now. But the question is, if these guys on the soft tyres are going to go mediums, surely, if the weather stays the way it is, the medium tyre runners will go softs, and they'll have the advantage later on.
Well, that's the payoff, isn't it? You've got to check which way you think is going to go the better. Sixten Rimtart thought about a move round the outside of the sweeping right-hander. Wasn't quite able to make it stick, though. I think we've got a little bit of Red Bull lagging behind in the background. I'll leave that up to everyone who's watching back at home. But as you said, it's now a payoff, isn't it? Do you want the earlier pace at the start, control for track position in the hopes of maybe a safety car? Or do you keep going and try and hold on to the mediums in the opening stints, have the heavier car, then have the advantage in the second half of the race?
Yeah, that is the real question. I'm sure we're going to find out who's got the right answer. As Tope, is he in the pit? Is that for a front wing change by the looks of it, TK?
Yeah, front wing and a new set of medium tyres as well. I almost caught off that it was raining. It's not quite raining yet, but it is getting increasingly more cloudy here in the UK.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, the question on my lips is how long will these soft tyres last? Currently on 5 laps, of course. This is only a 26-lap Grand Prix. It does go through quite quickly, even though it's a long circuit.
It really does. It's one that catches you out in just how deceptively short it can be. Of course, you run through the track rather quickly, not necessarily too many heavy braking zones for our drivers to have to deal with. One in Sector 3, one in Sector 1, and maybe one in Sector 2 if you consider Luffield a heavy braking zone, but more realistically, it's drop a gear and disappear around the corner. But our front 4 still continuing to battle here. Nelson Alves looks to remove down the inside of Leo Lund there. He was a millimetre too late, and that could have caused catastrophe, but the quartet will continue to march on. We can see how close the field behind now have caught up. Are the mediums starting to come into their own, Alex?
Yeah, I think that's very much a possibility here, TK, because the medium tyre runners are still within its back. It's not like the softs just pulled away out of DRS. The medium runners are still there, and we know, even though the weather is not perfect for these tyres, but they will get better and better as Nelson Alves goes for a little bit of a lunge down the inside of Leo Lund. He wasn't going to make that stick, but he just wanted to give Leo Lund a little bit of a reminder that there's a Williams in his rearview mirror. But I think Kian Gordendorf may be looking for a reminder on the Williams that he is still very much part of this race.
Yep, absolutely right. He'll continue through, and he just wants to remind Leo Lund that he is in his mirrors. Maybe if he goes for an optimistic move slightly later on in the race, but who knows? I think pit stops may be the determining factor in this one as we continue through. We will see maybe the occasional double stack. I'm trying to see who teammate-wise is close together. The two Kick Saubers very close together in terms of on-track position, but I think they're the only two that may be affected. Maybe the Alpines with Liam Stevens and Sixten Lintar. But of course, the driver in front will get to control when they're into the pit lane.
Yeah, they certainly will. The soft top runners do not want to be caught out in the cold by these medium runners, especially if there's going to be an undercut or even an overcut at play here at Silverstone this afternoon. We still don't know what the weather's doing. Right now, it's still sticking without overcast. We don't have any update if it's going to rain. If there's any engineers in chat that want to let us know what's going to be happening, please do, because it is very helpful for us to understand what's going on.
Certainly is, but we will continue through lap 8 of 26. Ben Marples get 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. Are we going to see DNF number 3? Well, there we go. It's the Papaya McLaren that is the third driver to take an early shower from this race. He leaves his teammate Simon Lekomsky alone to battle it out for the team from Woking, and that is rather unfortunate. He joins Derry Van Bussen and T.S. Korsman as our early retirements from this Grand Prix.
Just as someone said in chat, let's go, Ben. Goat.
That's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate.
That's very unfortunate indeed. Now, back to the Grand Prix lead. It is, of course, our soft runners that still lead here at the British Grand Prix. But we wonder how long those tyres will go in this Grand Prix. We're heading on to the lap 10. The lap 10 of this race. The medium runner's not making the impression I thought. Oh, and Seisman forced out a little bit wide there in Cop's corner. Was he trying to make a move around the outside, TK?
I think, no, he's actually the other way round. I think Luca Rapassa tried to dive down the inside line. I wasn't 100% sure which way it formed, but it certainly looked like Mercedes trying to force, well, not force a way through, but maybe just a gentle reminder that he was there on the inside and then using all of the track to his advantage. But back at the top, Liam Stevens retakes control of the lead of the race. The two TS drivers really working together here to control this lead. They've not let anyone pass them at the moment, and Seisman thought about a move down the inside. We've got someone going wide. That's Gregory Pitzel in the Red Bull, I think, into the pits very, very late. I saw someone on the grass, and I'm assuming it was that Red Bull.
Yeah, the Red Bull of Gregory, who's the only car left on the soft. Well, the car, the only other car that isn't in the top 4 on the soft tyre. Will that open the eyes of the soft tyre runners, or will they think our pace is pretty good right now and we'll stick with our plan?
I'm going to take the assumption that soft tyre runners are starting to pit off onto the mediums. They're not expecting any chance of rain. It is overcast, but looks like we're not going to see any rain, so we are going to go to probably our usual pit stop procedure for the majority of our races. It's a long pit stop round here. Top 8, of course, pitting that little bit earlier for wing damage as well. You can see how far back he is compared to Gregory when he pitted that much earlier, so it hasn't necessarily worked out for him as much as he would have liked.
No, it certainly hasn't. Someone we should mention, TK, our championship leader is currently down in 14th place.
Then he is. Hasn't been the best race for Angelo Detensio. Of course, his teammate Luca Rapassa up in P6, really outshining him in terms of the Mercedes teammates. I think he will be rather anxious to try and get back within the points because how close the two Williams boys are. Of course, top 8 not necessarily a challenger at the moment to score points, but Nelson Alves up in P4 will be looking like a very strong contender to try and gain some crucial championship points.
Certainly will be. The soft runners go for another lap. They are sticking it out as long as they possibly can. Is there rain on the horizon, or are they just sticking with the strategy they planned? To be fair, I think they're just sticking with the strategy they planned, because I don't think Tope or Gregory would have pitted if they knew rain was on the horizon.
Nope, I don't think they would have done, but hey, who knows? Sometimes there's little mistakes in the weather forecast. It is hard to try and guess when that rain's going to come. There's a fantastic battle down the P10 and 11 at the moment as Camille trying to hold off Sergio in the Scuderia Ferrari. The two Kick Saubers have to try and work together here to pip out the Scuderia as we run down the straight towards Luffield and Brooklands. I don't think they're going to try and do it. Sixten Lintar, Ricardo Benzoni and Simon Lekomsky as well up in P7 is doing a lot of defending. He's close to dropping DRS to Luca Rapassa in front.
Yeah, our pole sitter and the man in second place. Well, sorry, our second place man, Kian Gordon, down in fifth. Our pole sitter, sorry, Kian Gordon in fifth, and then the front second place is Seisman in seventh, and Riccardo Bezzoni, who started third, in eighth. It's not gone well for the front three, but that's been the case this season as well. The only place I imagine it went well was Monaco, but again, I didn't watch the race, so maybe 20th one. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to go back to the archives and watch out for that one. But Luca Rapassa on an almighty charge here for Kian Gordondorp inside. He goes to the inside line. In the meantime, Nelson Alves had to try and attack Leo Lund. Leo Lund later on the defence. They're going to go 2x2 into Vale and Club Corner. We've seen this one before. It's late on the brakes for Kian Gordondorp. He went down the inside. Lucas Rapassa. There's now a domino reaction. Damage further back as well. And that all started because the Red Bull tried to go late on the brakes himself. And Simon Lekowski through the final corner tried to go side by side. And it's the Papaya McLaren that loses out once again.
And Seisman's got front left end plate damage. What happened? Basically, it was as you said, a chain reaction. Nelson tried to go down the inside of Leo and went for it, and then he realised he couldn't make it. But Kian was committed to going for the move on Nelson, caught the rear left tyre of the Williams, then careened into the Mercedes, and then that Mercedes careened into the McLaren, which then careened into the Alpine. It all went off at once. As Sixten Lindhardt is making that move now, because Seisman is losing time with with that McLaren just damaged on the front left end plate.
Yeah, it looks like Simon is trying to make it work as much as he possibly can, but of course he'll be a bit of a sitting duck through the corners. Won't have as much vertical stabilisation. You just see it there. He runs wide. 3-second penalty to his name, Sixten Lindhardt as well, sniping the move down the inside before Magnus Brooklands and Chappell. And a beautiful move from the Alpine driver trying to regain some positions that he wouldn't have necessarily liked to lose. All eyes though on Luca Rapassa down up towards the long right-hander. Furthermore, Liam Stevens takes the race lead once again. Luca Rapassa though thought about a move on Nelson Alves, wasn't quite close enough on this occasion. Is he going to try a same move down the inside into Vale Corner? Yes he is. In late on the brakes, out past Nelson Alves. He'll try and swing it around the outside of Club Corner. Is he going to be able to? Yes he is. He gets the traction, he's got the better grip, and Luca Rapassa up towards P4.
And Seisman retires in the pits. The front row sitter is out of this Grand Prix, and another race that he could not convert his qualifying into.
Unfortunate for himself, but it has been known to happen on occasions here. I'm very surprised we haven't seen the safety car, but of course you've got to remember all 4 retirements in this race have been in the pit lane so far. We've seen little collisions on track. They've caused wing damage, yes, but there hasn't been any major collisions as yet.
Yeah, and Luca Rapassa has driven such a good race here so far this afternoon. He's ahead of the pole sitter, he's ahead of one of the soft tyre runners, and he's absolutely flying here. As you've said, CK, the Mercedes that we thought would be challenging for the win is down in 13th place, but Luca Rapassa is showing that the other Mercedes has got something about him.
Certainly is indeed. It'll be good points to take home to Brackley, of course, and there will be maybe negotiations going on between Luca and Angelo Tortenzio. They will want to be that #1 driver at Mercedes, and at the moment Luca are controlling this race compared to his teammate down in P13. Race lead changing hands once again as Jan pips out Liam Stevens, but bear in mind, no one else has been in the lead of this Grand Prix since they got into a 1-2 position. And look how many people diving in towards the pit lane now. Luca Rapassa takes the effective race lead as all the soft tyre runners diving in, and we'll keep you updated on tyres as they come in.
Certainly will, and I imagine these soft runners will be going on to the mediums. I do not think, TK, with the weather that's at play this afternoon, that people want to even touch the hard tyre.
No, I don't think they will want to. Of course, track temperature looking rather low, and they will not want to try and run them out. Of course, I think not enough time remaining in the race either. Medium runners gone on to softs pretty much bang on this halfway mark, and they'll try and run them out now till the end of the race. Harvey Cohen, Sergio Sabrina will have the advantage of the softer tyres, lower fuel load as well. The guys that started on the softs have gone on to the mediums. Liam Stevens, Leo Lund, Nelson Alves, and of course Jan as well up in P9. And they'll have to try and run them till the end of the race, whilst they've got soft tyre runners bearing down on them.
Yeah, they certainly will, and these soft tyre runners will be an interesting one to watch. But the medium tyres do, I think, have a little bit of the advantage here, TK, because to be honest with you, it is one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. And honestly, without DRS, it's really hard to catch in this year's game.
It really is indeed. Of course, Slipstream being very powerful, hence why we have the lobby restart at the end of qualifying. But of course, once you're out of those elements, all the drivers around you have that advantage. They're being dragged through by each and every person in front of them, and it is really difficult to try and make that charge. Leo Lund, though, further back, gets past Gregory up to P11. That's effectively P3 on track at the moment. Sixten Lundtart and Daniel having a good battle. Camille gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Are we going to see retirement number 5?
Well, I really hope not, because I don't think that's a retirement that's a penalty they wanted to pick up, CK, because they were sitting in a good position there. They've gone soft tyres, and that's a shame for Camille, because they were running really well in that Ferrari.
They certainly were. They certainly were. It was a fantastic run for Camille so far. And of course, when the pit stop came into effect, they'd be in a very good position, looking for that undercut on the soft tyre, well, on the future soft tyre runners. But I think it looks like they are going to continue the race at least, maybe hope for a safety car, try and move that 10 second and get back into it, because, you know, 100% possible at a track like Silverstone.
Well, something that's interesting here, TK, that I should point out, they came very close to this pack of medium tyre runners.
Well, I mean, they're into the pack of medium tyre runners.
Yeah, incredibly close. I mean, they're within DRS of the guys that have just come off the soft tyres onto those mediums. Oh, well, this is going to turn into it. Don't go anywhere, folks, because it's going to be interesting.
Certainly is. The question is now, when are those medium tyre runners going to go in for their pit stops? When are they going to bite that bullet and try and get the soft tyres on? Race lead changing hands once again. Kian Gordendorp, of course, pole sitter here this afternoon, retakes P1. Luca Rapassa further back will have to set off P2. Two drivers in the background, Angelo D'Atenzio and Rishan Jacobs, diving in towards the pit lane to get a fresh set of boots on their cars.
Yeah, they certainly will. The man who's obviously leading the championship is into the pit. Interesting that he has taken the preferential pit stop by going first.
Well, I wonder if Luca Rapassa maybe made the decision they wanted to stay longer and obviously made that decision on track. They've chose to stay out. That could be what forced Angelo's hand, knowing that they've got their other teammates starting in front of them by not a considerable enough degree that it would get them out ahead. And look at this, coming out of the pit lane, Angelo D'Atenzio coming around the final corner, not even got the pit limiter off yet, and all the cars who previously pitted already steaming past.
But those soft tyres seem to be working a lot better than those medium tyres, as Camille trying to get past Gregory here in the Red Bull. Obviously with that 10-second tyre penalty, but they've been run off wide there by the Red Bull.
They have. I'm not sure whether that's a little bit of decing between themselves and the lobby, but of course Camille being the one that suffered the consequences, losing out 2 positions as well. One to Harvey Cohen, one to Sergio Sabrino. Both of those drivers will be saying thank you very much, 3 positions for ourselves, but now they've got the challenge trying to get past that Red Bull that seems to be jumping around more than a bean in front of them.
Certainly is, as Luca Rapassa is into the lead once again. I assume these medium tyre runners will want to pit this lap. They do not want to lose any more positions due to being undercut. And as it's predicted, they are into the pits. Oh, but Kian Gordendorp's gone too fast and broken his front wing on the back of Luca Rapassa. And I believe so has Sixten Lundtart.
Wow, I switched off that right at the last second, but it is the 2 TS drivers once again up at the effective lead of the Grand Prix. Further back, Jan and Liam Stevens retake what was once rightfully theirs. We've got a driver further back, that'd be Harvey Cohen diving into the pit lane. 10-second penalty!
He's out, he's retired, he's done. He calls it 10 seconds, he's finished.
And the question is, where are our pitting drivers going to come out? All the drivers passing by them, similar to what we saw with Angelo D'Atenzio. They will have the faster tyre though, but it looks like they'll have some ground to make up. Who are they going to be out in front? I think it is going to be in front of Daniel and Rishan Jacobs.
Certainly will, and Angelo's trying to make a move on Daniel very early on, and he's broken his front wing now. Left end plate gone.
Yep, certainly is. The Mercedes losing out on some front stabilisation. I think drivers may be getting a little bit over-eager to try and make some moves. We've got 5 retirements in this Grand Prix. Only 15 continuing to run as Sixten Lundtart gets past the car of Angelo D'Atenzio, of course, slightly damaged further back. And that's why our championship leader could be dropping a considerable amount of positions.
It certainly will. It's definitely not the race they would have wanted this afternoon. Angelo D'Atenzio is not looking too good, but a challenge up at the front. It's Leo Lund battling with Nelson Almas. They're going to go wheel to wheel in back into Beckett. Surely not. Someone's got to back out, and it was Leo Lund. Maybe not out of choice, but maybe out of safety for himself and his other driver. As we've got a yellow flag, as someone's gone off the road, it's Kian Gordendorp, our pole sitter, has gone down to 14th.
Yeah, you can see just how much wing damage he had on that Red Bull racing car. Could explain why he had absolutely no front downforce through Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel. And there's a battle further back, 9th down to 12th. And I think that's the Alpine and the Kick Sauber going wheel to wheel of Daniel. They're going on Club and Vale. Are they still going to be wheel to wheel? Yes, they are. Daniel with the inside line, though, trying to swing it around the outside is going to be Sixten Lintart, who just have the better straight line speed. And the Alpine, by the barest of margins, just holding on there.
Certainly is. And someone I do feel really sorry for, TK, is Camille, who's driving such a good race, but they have that 10-second time penalty, and it could cost them massively in this race.
Could do indeed. Further back, Luca Rapassa and Sergio Zabrino managing to pip out Gregory through the left-hander of well, I've got the corner there, my apologies. Riccardo Benzoni getting past Rashawn Jacobs as well further back. The twists and turns really starting to catch some drivers out. I think desperate moves are starting to come for a few people as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're really trying to push themselves forward here as Camille is on the back of these medium tyre runners who are still on those mediums. They will be going to the end of the Grand Prix, as will their soft runners. Everyone's made their pit stops. And if you're curious what tyres are everyone on, it's soft and medium.
Yeah, no hard tyres been in play throughout the entire Grand Prix, which is absolutely fascinating to see in a PSGL F2 race. Sergio gets a 3-second penalty as Luca Rapassa tries to make a move on him out of Beckett's, and the lead of the race changing hands once again. Liam Stevens
Camille
getting passed by Nelson Alves. Camille trying to hold off Leo Lund as well. We've now got a quintet at the front of our race.
Oh, and Leo sent it down the inside. He was so late on the brakes, I didn't think he was going to make that move. And he hasn't made it at all. Sergio Zabrino retires in the pits, TK.
Had Sergio not pit yet? I'm going to go on the assumption that he hadn't.
He had. No, he had made his pit stop. But with that 3-second time penalty, he saw no decision to finish the Grand Prix.
I think that's a poor decision. You're lap 18 and 26. You're going to have 3 seconds gap between the fields. I think that's a poor effort there.
Seems to be, but Harvey Cohen leaves as well. The man who's currently sitting in 4th place has a chance of crossing the line first, but with that time penalty of 10 seconds, he will not win the race unless by some miracle he manages to clear 10 seconds. TK, that seems unlikely.
Seems very unlikely with only 8.5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. He'd have to be as quick as a steaming train through the streets of Silverstone here, and I don't think we're going to see it this time around. I think his only hope would be a safety car, serve that 10 seconds, and then still show almighty pace in the final few laps. He'd have to almost work his way through the entire field after a race restart under the safety car.
Yeah, he certainly would, and it's such a shame because Camille has shown he's got pace this afternoon in that Ferrari, in the Scuderia. Ferrari had good luck around here recently, in recent years, as Gregory's slowly falling down through the pack here. These soft tyre runners are eating them up. Luca Rapassa, though, the man who could win this Grand Prix, TK, in that Mercedes. He's looked almighty this afternoon. Finds himself in 5th place, behind a man with a 10-second time penalty, and 3 cars in front of him on medium, and now has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And he's going to go for the move on Camille into turn 1. No, he's not. He's going to wait until the exit of turn 2, and now braking point of turn 3 as he dives down the inside. And Luca Rapassa, the Mercedes driver, the man who's been on top form this weekend, is in 4th place and can see the race lead in front of him.
He certainly can. He can smell the podium and he can definitely sniff the race win. He's got 3 cars that stand in front of him. Liam Stevens, Nelson Alves and Jan. I think that was Leo Lund late in the race and Camille as well as we head in towards Luffield and Brooklands. And look at this, Luca Rapassa in a whole different ballpark at the moment. There's a reason why he was a PS champion at the moment, and he's going to try and do a very similar thing on the PC platforms this season. He's looked so quick at Silverstone, and he's got 7.5 laps to go until he possibly could get a race win.
Camille and Rishan Jacob both picking up time penalties. Camille's added to their 10 seconds, and Rishan gets their 3. But look at the grip Luca Rapassa had through Maggotts and Beckett there. He's going to unleash the ERS. He's going to unleash the slipstream, and he's going to get triple slipstream. He may even get one of these guys into the braking zone, or will he get both of them? And oh, he almost lost it on the entry of that curve, but he held it together. Will he dive down the inside of Luca Rapassa? Sorry, of Jan. He does make the move. Can he hold it around the outside of Jan? Jan tries his best to defend it. He may defend it another day, but it is going to be incredibly close with 6 laps to go.
Certainly is. I think this could be trying to defend off the inevitable for Jan. He's on the medium tyre, the driver behind him, not only looking so quick throughout the course of this Grand Prix, but looking on the softer tyre of, rubber of tyre. He's diving down the inside. He's so confident with his brake pedal. He's like prime Daniel Ricciardo. He's becoming the last of the late breakers, and that podium position is now well and truly his. Is he going to go 2 for 1, try and make a move on Liam Stevens as well? No, he's got to hold off Jan. He has to try and swing around the inside line. The inside becomes the outside, but he's just holding off the Aston Martin at the moment.
I thought he'd lost that place already back to the Aston Martin, but he was so late on the brakes. As you said, TK, prime Daniel Ricciardo in full effect here this afternoon here at Silverstone. There is Leo Lund out of nowhere on the Aston Martin. They go wheel to wheel, and Leo Lund is into 4th place.
You call him Leo Lund. I think we're going to call him Leo Lunge after that move in towards Copse Corner. Beautiful move down the inside of the Aston Martin. Held his ground, stood himself when he went too wide, and that is an absolutely outstanding overtake for the Aston Martin driver.
It certainly is. Nelson Alves loses the lead by Liam Stevens. And here is Luca Rapassa in the background. These two must know they've got to work together a little bit to keep this Grand Prix race alive, because otherwise Luca Rapassa will pass them both and he will have a chance of winning this Grand Prix. 5 laps to go, TK, and it's anyone's race.
Yeah, 6 laps to go in the Grand Prix. It's going to be interesting to see how it finishes off. Luca Rapassa, of course, still softer tyre. He's looked incredibly racy through the twists and turns. Nelson Alves and Liam Stevens, as you said, will have to work together, effectively make a rolling roadblock through the roads here, through the track here at Silverstone. I think it's going to be trying to defend the inevitable. It's a little slight move from Nelson Alves to block the middle of the circuit as we head in towards Luffield and Brooklands. And I think Luca Rapassa can quite comfortably sit behind our drivers now, charge his battery, and wait for an opportunity to go late on the brakes again.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what he's going to do, TK. Of course, he knows he's been in a Grand Prix situation before. You do not want to be leading a Grand Prix with such long DRS zones on the last lap, because you will get swallowed up and then spat out, and you will not be spat out in the lead of the Grand Prix.
You won't at all. We'll keep an eye how they progress through the twists and turns. We'll head on to lap 22 of 26. Oh, how quick these have gone by. And I think this could be an opportunity for Luca Rapassa to try and make a move. He's in the slipstream of Nelson Alves. Alves get the lead, but only temporarily, as Lucas Rapassa goes 2 for 1 in towards the closing stages of lap 21. And he's up towards the lead of the Grand Prix now. Can anybody try and stop him as he's on the softer rubber? This might be a pull-away drive from Lucas Rapassa.
Well, he's made the bold decision to be leading the Grand Prix. Surely he's either just got to swap places with Nelson Alves, or he's got to absolutely send it around Silverstone to clear that DRS gap. But those soft tyres will not last forever, TK. They are on 6 lap old. He has got some of the youngest set of soft tyres, but they will still be getting worn, and those mediums will be getting better, even though they're a few laps older.
They certainly will. He won't like how frequently the DRS zones come here at Silverstone. He'll be wishing there was only 1 or 2 on this circuit, but indeed they come every few corners at the moment. That is what's going to allow Nelson Alves and Liam Stevens to continue to pull closer, ever closer through the course of this Grand Prix. I don't think he's going to be able to drop them as much as he would have liked. He'd be hoping for about 7 or 8 tenths by now, but instead the DRS brought them back in towards 4 or 5, and that could be just enough for one of them to mount a charge out of Maggotts and Beckett, but they can't start fighting each other because that could give up the podium for either one of them.
It certainly will, but I think, TK, from what I've seen from a little bit of onboard, is it looks like Luca Rapassa is running a lot more downforce than the 2 cars behind him, because he is almighty through Maggotts and Beckett. They cannot touch him through those corners, but down the back straight, they do seem to catch him up. But I'm thinking the hope for Luca Rapassa is that he can clear the drivers through Maggotts and Beckett, and then he doesn't have to worry about that DRS straight.
Yeah, I think that's going to be his hope. He builds up 5 tenths again as we round the final corner. Of course, the first DRS zone on this circuit coming in towards Sector 2. Very fortunate for himself. This is where he has the longest opportunity on this circuit to try and pull away some of the gap as we head in towards the stadium section, or the infield section of this circuit. Leo Lund still trying to make moves. Rashaan Jacobs getting past Camille further back with both those drivers with penalties to their name, but I think they're stuck in that mid-pack at the moment. They can't progress forwards. They've got Leo Lund acting as a roadblock, but they can't afford to drop any further back on the soft tyres.
No, they certainly cannot. The man who started on pole, let's not forget, was King Gordonsdorf. He's down in 12th place. It's not been the afternoon for him. Riccardo Benzoni in 8th place. He started 3rd. It's not gone well for him. The championship leader, he's only 11th in this race, so it's not gone well for him either. But the top 4 still challenging for this race, but look at them pull away in Magnus and Beckett's TK. Luca Rapassa, 6/10 at the moment, goes through the left-hander. It's now 6/10. It's going to be 7/10 coming out of the right-hander. It's going to be 8/10 almost, and that is enough to hold on to that gap no matter how much ERS you have.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's so dominant through the corners. The DRS doesn't even matter, as it's 2x2 almost for a half a moment. Liam Stevens, Leo Lund and Jan trying to get in amongst themselves. Sixten Lundtag getting past Camille there as we head in towards Vale and Club, and everybody trying to sort themselves out. We head on to the final 3 laps of this Grand Prix. The drivers further back will be praying for that checkered flag to fly, but everybody up towards the top, all the way down to P10, is well and truly still in this fight.
And as long as those tyres hold out for Luca Rapassa, it's his race to lose, TK. But he needs the tyres to stay in good nick, because his only chance is sticking with his tyre grip that he has. Of course, then using it in Magnussen Beckett's like he has been with his extra downforce.
Absolutely right. He has got to try and make it work. He can't afford to lose too much in the DRS straights. I mean, this is the sort of situation at the moment. We head into Luffield and Brooklands in towards the old pitch straight. He's got to try and make it work. He has to burn some of that ERS. And you can see he's potentially charging it up as well, just in case. He has to try and hold on to it for the remainder of this Grand Prix. Maybe if a driver gets a little bit too close for his liking under the DRS slipstream assistance. But I think at the moment, he's certainly got this race under his control.
He certainly does, but never say never in Formula One. But look how much he gains through Magnussen Beckett. It's going to take an almighty miracle and an almighty run through there to get even close to him. You can see Nelson Alves, he's closing, but by the time they get to the 50 brake board, it's already 0.2 of a second, and you're not close enough to make a dive by then.
Not quite close enough for Nelson Alves, but further back, Jan thought about a move on Leo Lund down the inside. He's going to try and hold it around the final few corners. Leo Lund has to go wide. Oh, poor re-entry. There's a little bit of contact with Rishan Jacobs. He's off the track again. And once again making contact with Rishan Jacobs. Leo Lund, I think, didn't quite know where to go there. He sent it down the inside of Rishan Jacobs in towards the first corner, still trying to hold it. He goes late on the brakes again. So close to making contact with Rishan. Jan has to go out wide. There's chaos on this circuit as Jan's trying to defend from Leo Lund. Riccardo Benzoni tries to make his way through as well, but the Aston Martin, by a hair's breadth, holding on.
Certainly is. I think Leo tried to give him the receipt for that gravel trip he was given, as Leo Lund will now leave it late on the brakes. They still push each other wheel to wheel. Neither one of these drivers wants to give it up. Riccardo Benzoni wants a piece, but finally Leo Lund gets it into 5th place. He had to work hard for it, but he made it work.
He certainly did. It was an unfortunate move from Jan there. Just lost a little bit of the back end heading through Brooklands corner, but he is still so close to the V-carb that stands in front of him, in towards Magnus Beckett's and Stowe, and so is Liam Stevens, really on the back of Nelson Alves here, not giving him a moment's peace to try and worry his thoughts or calm his thoughts as they head through one of the highest speed corners on this circuit. And I think both of those drivers will be trying to get up towards Luca Rapassa, but the gap is just not closing enough for their liking.
Jan trying to get past Leo Lund once again, because Riccardo Benzoni is breathing down his throat here. As Jan, will he go down the inside? No, he won't, because we're on to the final lap, TK. It is flown so fast here at Silverstone. It's been a fantastic Grand Prix, and Luca Rapassa still leads by about 0.5 of a second. He's got only 17 corners left, and he'll be a Grand Prix winner at Silverstone.
Certainly does. He's got not much to wait for now. He's got just over 3 miles essentially of procession work, as he knows he's pretty much invulnerable to the drivers behind him. Not only has he got a fully charged battery to hold them off, he's got the greater ability to take the corners at speed. Nelson Alves half a second behind as we head in towards Luffield and Brooklands for the final time. Only makes it to 3.5 tenths behind the Mercedes driver, both of them sharing a power engine. They'll share the same podium, but not in the order that Nelson would have liked. He didn't want to take second step as we continue down the old pit straight, but surely now Luca Rapassa will come home to take victory here at Silverstone.
Well, one more set of corners to go. The almighty Magnussen Beckett, and Nelson Alves is a lot closer than Luca Rapassa would like. He's right up behind him here, TK. And is there going to be a last-minute dive here for the Grand Prix. He's only 2 tenths behind him. What has Luca Rapassa done? He's made a huge mistake, and it's cost him the Grand Prix lead, because Nelson Alves leads the British Grand Prix with 1 set of corners to go. But can Nelson Alves find his way back? He's chosen the outside line. He's sent it down the inside, but Nelson Alves runs it wide. Liam Stevens looking for a move. He can't make it work. They're going to battle to the line, and it will be Luca Rapassa who wins the British Grand Prix by 78 thousandths of a second. But it was so close. So tight, and Rapassa almost threw it away, but he's a British Grand Prix winner here at Silverstone.
Wow, what an ending to the Grand Prix. I almost thought Liam Stevens was going to come through a Vale in towards Club Corner, see, or go for a through goes Hamilton move. He couldn't quite make it though. But Lucas Rapassa showing us exactly why he deserves to win this Grand Prix. Later on the brakes in towards Vale, held it round the outside, in towards the inside corner, and that was just enough to do the defensive work this time around, and it will be Lucas Rapassa, your British Grand Prix winner in PCF2. Nelson Alves and Liam Stevens will join him on the podium. Kamil Stachara will drop all the way down to P12 after that 10-second penalty. Top A and Kian Corundor will round out your top 12. But for your race winner, once again, Luca Rapassa.
Goodness me. What a Grand Prix indeed we have just seen. He almost threw it away, TK. What was he doing? Going through Magnus and Beckett? It won't matter too much because he has still won the Grand Prix. But do you think he just misjudged it right at the end?
I think he may have just been caught off guard, but of course we said he was charging that battery. He had enough just to stay close to the Williams that was behind him. And that's what allowed him to send that dive in towards the penultimate corner and really get the move done. Your top 20 then. Rounding out, Lucas Rapassa, Nelson Alves, Liam Stevens, your top 3. Jan, Ricardo, Sixton, Leo Lund, Rashawn Jacobs, Daniel, and Gregory, your top 10. Andrew Tatenzi, of course, your championship leader here this afternoon, finishing down in P11. Kamil Stachara, top 8, and Kian Corundor, rounding out your top 14, my apologies. And then your DNF, Sergio Sabrino, Harvey Cohen, Simon Lekomsky, Ben Marples, Derry Van Bussel, and T.S. Korsman, not managing to finish the race.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Grand Prix of, well, a Grand Prix of 2 halves, you might say. The softs had it in the first half, and the softs had it in the second half. But it was the guys that started on the mediums that came away with the Grand Prix victory. Now, in terms of interviews, we'll see if anyone wants to jump in for interviews. We'll see. Obviously, you don't have to do interviews. It's not a mandatory thing here at PSGL. So let me just quickly Task Manager F124, which may destroy my PC, but we'll see what happens here. Let's see, end task. And it's worked. There we go. Lovely stuff. So we're going to gab, if I remind myself, so Luca Rapassa, of course.
Nelson Alves and Liam Stevens as your
Thank you very
top
much,
10.
Nelson Alves and Liam Stevens. Interviews, question mark.
What a race. What a finish. I think that's probably the best finish we've seen in PCF2 for a long while.
Certainly is. Right to the line, right to the moment. But it still came away with Nelson Alves winning. But it wasn't Nelson Alves.
Luca Rapassa winning.
Luca Rapassa winning. Do apologise because it was so close. He almost threw it away, but he luckily didn't. Now, has that changed the standings? To be honest with you, TK, not really, because the man that was in second place, he gained a few points, but probably not enough to beat Angelo to top of the standings.
I think the big change here will be Luca Rapassa jumping up from P9. He's almost guaranteed probably up to about 5th or 6th, according to my napkin maths here. Of course, Nelson Alves scoring some good points, as was Liam Stevens. He'll jump up from P16 almost certainly, but everybody else, I think, not going to change too much. Ricardo Benzoni didn't have a race to remember from what I can understand.
Not really, no.
Everybody else kind of in that middle ground. So we'll wait and see what happens next week and see what happens.
Well, the man who won our Grand Prix, TK, is sitting in the commentary booth. Shall we bring him in for an interview?
Let's bring him in for a chat.
So the man who won the British Grand Prix sits here in our commentary booth. We thought he may have thrown it away on the last corner, but somehow he came away with the victory to the line with Nelson Alves. Luca Rapassa, congratulations. You've won the British Grand Prix. How was that race, mate?
That was an amazing race. Yeah, from the start I felt the pace was there. I was a bit surprised how many people went on softs. Made good overtakes, got like in overtake every medium runner ahead of me, and then yeah, just drove my own race when the soft runners pit. Then when I pit, I saw there was quite a big gap behind me. So yeah, I had no pressure from behind, so I could do my own thing. Just made the overtakes. Then I noticed Nelson just being like 6-7 tenths back to because he didn't want to overtake. But yeah, I was quite fine with that because I felt like I was quick enough, I guess, to keep him behind. But then the last lap he closed up. Yeah, I knew I was on a little bit more ERS, so that's why it wasn't. Well, it wasn't ideal. He overtook me on the last straight, but yeah, he went a bit deep, and I noticed someone was trying to switch back me, but luckily I got A1.
Yeah, you certainly did, right on the line, but a fantastic victory indeed. Of course, we go to TK. What circuit do we go to next?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. We can actually have a look on our screen. 1 second.
Yeah,
It's the Netherlands.
We go the Netherlands, of course. Yes, the Dutch Grand Prix. Are you thinking you can pick up another win there? Of course, your teammates didn't score any points this weekend, and you've climbed yourself up the standings. What's your thoughts going into the Netherlands?
Well, I won't be home, so I personally can't drive.
Ah,
So yeah.
well, will you be back for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix?
Yes, definitely.
Well, then let's just jump ahead to Saudi. How's your thoughts around the Saudi Grand Prix?
I've been quite good on this game on Saudi, so looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Luca, for joining us for interview, and congratulations on P1, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luca. So we're now going to bring in the man who finished in second place. It is Nelson Alves, missing out on the race win by literally less than a tenth of a second, but he drove a fantastic race. Williams picking up more points once again, and of course, Nelson yourself picking up points for your championship fight. Nelson, I'm sure you would have liked the win, but you got very, very close, mate. Talk us through the race.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, starting for the qualifying, I got a bit unlucky because on my last run I was improving a lot, and one car just appeared and then disappeared on the last chicane. Like I think it was desynced or something, and I lost all the lap. So I started P8, and the race went pretty good. Like the start, I used softs. I had an insane lap one, and then basically I just followed everyone on the softs ahead. Did a very good moves on other mediums runners on the second stint. And then when Luke went by, I was making him a gap, so I just waited for the last lap to attack. Managed to overtake him, but yeah, on the last chicane I just like locked up tires, pushed him off, so I let him by on the end. And yeah, I think it's better to be P2 than to get a post pen after the race.
Yeah, for sure. Considering how close the grid was, I think that was the right decision in the end. And of course, you started on the soft tire and went mediums. The softs were so good in this Grand Prix. Was that just due to the weather, or were you expecting the softs to be as good as they were?
Yeah, I think there's no weather related. I practiced this strategy. For me, yeah, it was clearly that I was feeling better on this strategy. So yeah, went for it and went a bit aggressive on the opening laps to make positions, and then just managed the race perfectly until the end.
Awesome. Well, Nelson, we go to the Netherlands next week. First of all, will you be joining us from the Netherlands? And second of all, what is your thoughts about that circuit? Can you pick up that Grand Prix victory over there?
Yeah, I hope so. I'll practice for that. Yeah, I like the track. I mean, I did 0 laps on this game yet, but yeah, I think I'll be confident looking forward to that race.
Awesome. Thank you, Nelson, and congrats on P2, mate. And I'm sure we'll speak to you next week as well.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Nelson. PK, seems to be a running theme where drivers don't seem to practice on the track until they have to. It seems to be every driver we speak to that seems to happen.
I wonder if we're... I'm going to make no comment about that, probably from a commentator's point of view.
Yes. But anyway, it doesn't matter because that is the end of this week's stream. That was round 7 at the British Grand Prix, with the winner being Nelson Alves. And of course, if you are just looking for some more PSGL action, you can't wait till next week. Don't worry, you can join our Discord. You can follow us all our social medias, of course, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course you can follow us on Twitch and YouTube as you're watching right now. Us will be back for F2 next week, next Thursday at 8 p.m. TK, thank you for running the stream and thank you for joining me again.
Pleasure as always, and thank you so much for being in the chat.
And yeah, and it's been awesome to commentate once again, and we will be back next week for PSGL Round 8.